Welcome everybody again to Leading During Chaos and Solving the Gap podcast. My name is Thom Shea and I'm with Joseph Caldwell, and we're here today in a live Facebook feed venue to interview and discuss where everybody is, or the people that are listening, to give you some gap advantage, if you will. So thank you all for coming, and who you'll be listening to, I'll try to introduce the best I can. But before we start that, thanks, Joseph, for coming in.
Absolutely, man.
This is actually his office, and I take advantage of him constantly. And so this is the first time that we've gone live, obviously. And dude, solving the gap has been interesting to participate with you.
Absolutely, and we had no idea when we were talking about solving the gap from where we are to where we want to go, who we are to who we want to be,
Yep.
and the gap in between, that we would hit such chaos
Yeah.
and fear and a dismantling of society as we know it in the midst of it.
Yep.
But it's never been more relevant.
Yeah, we were meeting, in case everybody doesn't know, so, I retired 6 years ago, met Joe probably 5 years ago or so, and we would probably meet once or twice a month to help each other with the issues that we were having. And as we grew a friendship, we were looking at doing, some things officially together.
Yep.
And before the calamity, we're like, you know what, let's help ourselves and help our companies and help the people around us solve the real issues that we are facing. And we decided to launch Solving the Gap podcast before it hit. And then it hit. I'm like, hey, by the way, we have massive chaos now. Let's just deal with it openly.
Right.
So thank you all for participating, and we're going to begin with a fellow named Joseph Flanagan, which is an interesting conversation for everybody to listen to today. Joseph is a high school senior. Everybody's impacted by what's going on, and everybody counts. And so welcome, Joseph, to what we're doing today. And you have some questions that you tried to hit me up with before we went live. So again, welcome, Joseph.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
So I'm a senior at Boston College High School, and my question is to you is just like how to really keep myself motivated, because second semester of senior year, usually like in general, like it's usually you're not really working as hard as the first semester. And with this whole virtual online learning, like I'm using Zoom every day from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and most of my like prom, graduation, award ceremonies, they're all up in the air. We don't really know what's going to happen. And a lot of us seniors and other high school students have been kind of sad at home, not really be able to do anything like we usually do. And just like how to keep myself motivated and how to remain optimistic for future activities.
Yeah, I'll start if you don't mind, Joe.
Yeah, hit it.
It's an interesting awakening, I think, more to the youth of the world. I think the more moons that you pass through and the more seasons that you see, it's like this is not uncommon the older you get that things fall apart. So for,
Whether that's personally, in business,
Yeah.
or in society.
Yeah. So this is the first major change to people under 18, really, where everything was going along great, and you're left with, man, I can't do my normal life the way that I had anticipated, which is an interesting dialogue to have. Having unquestionable things that you're going to do on a daily basis is where you arrive at when the older you get. So I don't actually think motivation is necessary. Have non-negotiable things that you do for the rest of your life now, whether you're in isolation, whether you're not in isolation. I know it's important, no matter how old you are, to spend at least an hour a day being fit. And most people drop that when things change. So attend to your fitness every day, whether you're in a house, whether you're in an apartment, or wherever you find yourself, get to it. And it's weird, as people are now posting in social media, I saw an ultra marathon runner who missed one of his major ultra marathons run 100 miles in his freaking room. It actually took him 50 hours because it was about as big as this room. He ran in circles. And he is so committed that he's not going to let anything stop him from what is important to him. So I think the first part of that answer is, don't let any of this stop you from what you're committed to doing. Just adapt.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And you talk about it, Thom, honoring your word. And a lot of people are looking for motivation. That's external. And really it just boils down to, Joseph, is honor your word. What are you committed to every day? Make it simple, and then do those things. Do those things. Come hell or high water, right? And while everybody else is consumed with the chaos and going, well, what do I do? Well, you've got simple things that you can do. And Thom hit the nail on the head. Commit to your health. Commit to the work that you have to do, right? Commit to some form of spirituality and growth. Commit to connecting with people and relationships. Now more than ever, we need each other. Isolation brings about an inherent depression, right? And we feel like we're social creatures. We want to be around other people. And so commit to connecting to people every day.
Yeah, every day. And so and you can do that. You already said that you're doing the Zoom to connect with your classmates or your instructors. That's vital. And the people that aren't doing that, you're probably doing it because you're demanded to do it. The people who aren't doing that are having a rougher time.
Yeah.
And get on Zoom, get on phone, text people. Do it more than you think that you should be doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully that was impactful to you.
Yeah, and right now, Thom, I was thinking about this yesterday. You remember, I guarantee you remember, and I remember where I was, what I was smelling, what I was seeing, what I was feeling when 9/11 hit. Mm-hmm. You know where you were. We can tell everybody down to the minute detail.
Yep.
Well, Joseph's in a position to where he's only read about that in the history books. He doesn't know where he was.
Yep.
Right? This is his 9/11.
Yeah.
This is his 9/11. This is a whole different scenario.
Yeah, within 20 minutes everything changes.
That's right. That's right.
And adapt is the key, and most people have a hard time with that. So the simple answer is adapt.
And in his life as a senior, yeah, things are going to be very disrupted. Prom, throw it out the window, man.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's gone. Graduation will probably be an email and a virtual congrats, bro. You're not going to get to throw a hat. But you know what you could do? Think outside the box. On prom night when you should have had it, hey, get dressed up with whatever you have at home. Have a community that you're all gonna get together on a Facebook community or something, and pretend like you're, ask a girl to dance with you, and pretend like you're dancing with her, right? Dance around your room, and do something and get people connected, laughing and living and loving, right?
Yep. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah,
you got anything else? I know you do. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to stay fit during this time, try to keep my both physical health and mental health intact. And it's definitely Zoom has been helpful, even though I'm in a classroom setting. It's very helpful to see other people's faces and interact socially. Because I was thinking, like, if I were to live by myself with no one and not have any social interaction, I'd probably go crazy.
Yep.
Like when you think about it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely been helpful, and thank you for the advice.
Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely, man.
Yep.
Hey, I'm proud of you for soldiering on and doing what you're doing. And let me tell you, man, you're the future of our country. You're the future of industry. And you want to be in business and finance? Hey, that's going to be very different. This whole thing's a game changer. Whole industries are going to go away, and whole industries are going to be born. Anytime the global markets or a country's markets, there's massive loss, you need to see the seeds of opportunity in there, because there's also massive gain. And find that for yourself. Think outside the box.
Yep.
Man, I'm excited for our country and for humanity. You know, looking at a young man like you, I'm fired up. I get excited about that because I see a bright person who's doing what he can do, right?
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
I agree. Yep.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, maybe another Roaring 20s will be on our way.
Or
You damn
don't look
straight.
back, call it the new 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the 1920s. We don't want to start over again.
No, the 2020s,
Yeah,
baby.
Yeah, yeah,
2020. Yes.
yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so and the next guest that has the opportunity to explain where he is, a man named Ryan Hill. He's a financial advisor at Citizens Bank, also in Boston area. So welcome, Ryan.
Well, thank you for having me on today, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time.
Yep. Yeah. So what is it like for you now?
I'm slammed. This is a period of time where my clients need me more than ever, and we are just rocking and rolling. So it's been a time where we had to quickly adapt to the earlier conversation that you guys were having. We need to adapt to the changing environment in a number of different ways. And as it relates to the financial services industry, banking industry, and finance in general, you know, it's a period of time where we really had to be nimble and quick on our feet in a industry that is highly regulated and in some ways moves at lightning speed, but in other ways it moves at a snail's pace. And those two worlds needed to come together and move really quickly in tandem. So yeah, I'll pause there. But it's definitely been a time where we've been able to adapt quickly, and being there for your clients and helping them navigate through this. It's been an incredibly rewarding time that I don't think anyone will forget, and also a time where there's an immense amount of opportunity as well.
That's right. Hey, what do you do at Citizens Bank?
So I work as a financial planner, helping business owners, families, executives navigate both their personal and their business lives.
Awesome.
So comprehensive, in-depth, holistic financial planning and investment management.
Awesome, man. And your world right now is super chaotic, and you're exactly right. You guys have to be nimble, but you've got a lot of people that are looking to you, and they are scared. They are terrified because what they've worked their lives for is at risk. And you have such a unique opportunity to walk them back away from the cliff of chaos, right? And to be a voice of reason and understanding. And it doesn't mean that we downplay what's going on, because they're scared for a reason, right? But you want to be in this time, you want to over communicate so much so that your name is the last one they heard, and it's the first one on their tongue coming out of this. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep.
So with that all being said,
Yeah.
My question for you guys today, and this is an overarching kind of question, but I think in this period of time, it becomes a little more difficult to navigate than ever before. Is how to dealing with the short term, but at the same time, maintaining discipline and organization as it relates to long-term goals and plans. So in other words, the flurry of emails and phone calls and outreach to clients that you were just speaking to, as well as everything else, and the day in the life, if you will, and then at the same time creating structure around longer term business planning and professional development goals. And would be curious to hear and I'm happy to dive deeper into this question because I'm taking it from a 40,000 foot up perspective here, but how to go ahead and maintain discipline, especially as we're all sitting at home working from home. I think the natural behavior or inkling is you're going to drift away from that a little bit. But at any rate, so how would you guys go ahead and deal with that in a volatile, fluid, chaotic environment that we're in today?
Well, I'll take first stab. You mentioned a term called discipline.
When a Navy SEAL says he's going to stab at something, it makes me nervous.
You said stab. I don't use a knife. Okay, knife means I've lost the battle and I have my knife out. But, so discipline. It has a simple meaning to it that gets lost with everybody talking about discipline. Discipline is a series of non-negotiable things that you do on a daily basis that are not affected by the weather or change. It's the things that you do whether you're tired, whether you're isolated, and it's irregardless of anything else. So I'm going to take a look at what discipline can be right now so that you can take on what I'm going to say. And I'm going to break it down to simplicity. A disciplined person lives in the moment more than an undisciplined person does. And the first thing that a disciplined person does in the morning is get out of bed and move his or her body. That takes discipline. And it's rare. Most people get up groggy, go pour coffee groggy, get into their car groggy, and drive to work. It takes no discipline to do that. And now's the time to get this foundation right now of the first element of discipline is get up and get your body ready for the day. There's a million ways to do that. If you just get up and start moving every single joint and muscle in your body, your life will change, and that becomes non-negotiable. It doesn't matter if you're tired, doesn't matter if you're sick, doesn't matter if the world is going to come to an end. It requires that of you to be a disciplined person.
Hey, Thom, I was reading some research that they're doing on exactly what you're talking about moving, physical activity, and first thing, and it not only gets your body ready, it gets your brain ready for the day, and it actually expands your hippocampus in your brain. It was fascinating.
Yeah, and if you don't, I mean, there's other medical things that go on, like the amygdala in your brain, which is like the PTSD center that they're trying to analyze now. If you don't move, it's only remembering what has happened before. Right. So if you engage in this moment through the disciplined activities that I call non-negotiable, that's the first part of discipline. The second part of discipline is you have to communicate every day with your partner. If I don't know if you're married, didn't ask that. Boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, if you don't have that, you have a kid or an adult that you talk to.
Parent.
The second thing you do, so you get up, you move first, the second element of discipline, and it requires this, communicate with somebody who matters to you. That's the second thing. The third thing is what I now call part of the three simple things. Every day in your work life, you have to look for new opportunities. It requires discipline. Prospecting calls, texts, emails, finding something new in your work to engage. The second of the three simple things is you have to deal with at least one existing client every single day, Saturdays and Sundays, end in Y or end in day, so you still have to do it on the weekend. The third simple thing is what you were also, beginning to talk about was what's going to happen in the future. I call that strategic thinking. Sit there and think how this is going to play out. There are so many unknowns, most people cannot think strategically. Right. That's the greatest way to think strategically. What is going to play out if this happens? What's going to play out if that happens? Spend some time every day moving, communicating with people who matter, and being on point in those three areas: offensive, defensive, and strategic. Acumen, if you will. And I could just stop there. When people do that, that is how somebody would say that person's disciplined. It takes a very strong individual to do at least those three things. And it's, again, what I call, I don't use the word discipline, I make things non-negotiable. Yep. I work out. I don't care if I feel bad. Sometimes it's a bad workout. Sometimes it's a great one. I have to communicate with my wife. It's not negotiable. Here's what discipline allows you to have. Take those if you don't do them. If you don't do them, if I don't work out, if I don't communicate, and if I don't do business, what's going to happen to your business, your relationship, and your health?
Sayonara.
It's gone. Since nobody has that element of discipline, that's called despair. So replace discipline with non-negotiable things that matter to you and do them every single day, and take them even when this thing stops. Keep that disciplined activity in your life and make it non-negotiable, and strategy never happens anyway. Like tomorrow never really happens, because if you're not good at today, by the time tomorrow happens, you won't be good at it because it'll be today. But if you're disciplined, you'll be really good at the next today that you have.
Yep. And that when Thom taught me that, and Thom and I met, and we already had an incredible business, an incredible team, and we're doing phenomenal. But I was sporadic, okay? And I would hammer one area of my life, and the other ones would lack, okay? And I ran in short bursts like that, ran in short bursts with my health, ran in short bursts with business, ran in short bursts with relationships. But when Thom taught me that, and I knew he knew what he was talking about, because 23 years as a Navy SEAL, a sniper, and all the missions he had been on, you know, if I didn't concentrate on my health, yeah, maybe I got a little plumper, maybe this happened or that happened, but I wasn't gonna die that day, right? So when Thom taught me, hey, it's three simple things: do something offensive in this area, do something defensive in this area, and do some strategic thinking in this area. And when you make those non-negotiables, people will say you're a disciplined person, but everybody is a disciplined person, right? Let's take the person who doesn't do these things. When does discipline show up? It shows up brutally, right? If I don't discipline myself offensively, defensively, and strategic in my health or in my business, if I don't discipline myself with those three areas every day, then guess what? Diabetes disciplines me.
Yeah.
Heart failure disciplines me. The beating is coming.
Yeah.
I would just rather give it to myself.
Yep. Yep. That was a great question.
Right.
Thanks, Ryan.
Question.
Yep. Did you have another one?
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Sorry?
Did you have another one?
Oh, I can keep going, you know. But I guess as a follow-up to that question, as you look at, and you broke it down really, really well, you know, from getting out of bed, you know, through the whole day. When you're dealing with a chaotic or volatile situation on an ongoing basis, and you got people coming at you left, right, and center, right? and you're just trying to deal with, seeing through the day, and you're frustrated by the fact that those longer term strategic plans and goals you have that are going to pay dividends may not be as attainable today as they were in the past as far as chipping away at them. And I think this comes down to more time management. But when you're dealing with a tornado, if you will, it's hard to be disciplined about time management on a daily basis. I don't know if you guys and this is the $1 million question. I've asked CEOs this question. I've asked, people who have mentored me, and by my account would be very successful people, and I don't think you can be successful without the discipline that we're talking about. I oftentimes get very vague answers.
I hope that my answer is not going to be vague. I am a fan of chaos because chaos is the only guarantee in life. So I'll try to define the chaos in general. Chaos is probably the same definition. It's applied across any spectrum. Chaos is when 1,000 bullets are flying at you. Some are aimed really well, some are improperly aimed. The deal is with chaos, the 1,000 bullets, is you can only deal with one bullet. You cannot deal with 1,000 bullets. The other way of saying that is life is literally, for everybody, the experience of trying to eat an elephant. If you look at the entire elephant, you won't even eat any of it because it's overwhelming. People have the ability to do one thing really well. So pick one bullet that you can do and adjust it. It doesn't matter if it seems chaotic. Deal with one thing at a time. Deal with the next one thing at a time. Great leaders are really good at managing chaos by dictating, if you will, we're going to deal with this thing right now. Hey, but all these other things are going on. Okay.
I don't care.
They're going to be going on when we're done with this thing.
That's right.
Or we'll have missed the opportunity. But we're going to adjust this thing first, then adjust the next thing. Pick the thing that you know you can adjust that matters the most. Don't pick things that are irrelevant. What most people do during chaos is deal with irrelevant, unmeaningful, useless things.
They're busy.
They're busy. They'll be busy all day. Yep. What did you do today? I have no idea. So that person is stuck in dealing with 1,000 things. People who have many seasons of chaos will actually say to themselves, okay, what am I going to do today? What inch am I going to gain today? But there's all these other things going on. Dude, they were going on anyway.
Yeah.
And the more aware you are, the more you realize chaos is the only thing that's going on.
That's right.
There's a million things to do.
It's the only constant.
It's the only constant. Don't even fight the chaos. This is now a known chaos where I was telling Joe the other day, it's as if everybody pulled their head out of the ground for their first experience of chaos. Because when everything is going well, nothing's chaotic. God, we're making thousands and thousands of dollars a day. Everything's good. And then you start thinking that it's going to go on forever. The 80-year-old man who's seen this 100 times goes, okay. Do you have 100,000 in cash? We don't need that. We can over leverage this. The old person that knows chaos goes, hey, okay. Nothing ever plays out this way because chaos reigns. And some of the older investors saw this in December and hedged the market. They shorted the market. They're like, okay, here's the chaos is going to happen. It's not whether you want it to or happen or not. It's going to happen.
It's going to.
And plan for it. What happens when things go down? As a financial planner, you plan for the up, you plan for the down, and you plan for the neutral. Yeah.
And I'm fortunate in that if you come at it from a planning perspective, taking those 3 pillars of discipline into someone's financial plan in their life, when you call them up and have these conversations, they're like, nope, we got it. I mean, there isn't a bead of sweat coming down their forehead because they know they're going to come out the backside of this and they're going to be all right. Things are going to work out.
Right.
So yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And Ryan, here's a way that I look at it. It's a different way to say it than what Thom just said, but it's the exact same thing. In my mind, which I only have so much bandwidth. We all have so much bandwidth, okay? And I refuse to be ruled by the tyranny of the urgent, okay? And in my mind, it's like a stage, and this is how I look at it. It's like a stage, and I only let one actor on the stage of my mind at a time. I don't care how many other actors are screaming to get on the stage and perform, because I can use 100% of my focus with one actor on the stage. Once I put two actors on the stage, most people would say that it's 50-50. No, it goes 30-30. You lose 40% productivity, focus, when you put two actors on there. And so just remember that as you go through the day. It's very simple to let the chaos enter your mind. But chaos can be going on around you. And like Thom said, one bullet, one shot, one thing, one actor at a time. And yesterday I had an hour that was devoted for strategic thinking. And no one got my attention outside of that. I didn't care if the house was on fire, let it burn down around me. I'm not going to get water. I don't care.
Yep.
If my mama had called me, I ain't taking it. Wouldn't even have known if she had called, right? Because all those actors will be there when you're done with the actor you're working on or working with, right? So
I love that. That's awesome.
You said it better than I did.
I know.
You're not allowed to be here anymore. That was awesome.
Thank you so
thanks,
much.
Ryan.
I really appreciate all the time. On behalf of everybody in my personal life as well as in my business world, the advice you gave me today is gonna pay dividends to all of them. So
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
So the next one I'm really interested in. Louise, thank you for coming on. Please introduce yourself.
Sure, certainly. First of all, thanks for hosting your podcast and for the information you've been providing. I've listened to some of what you've been sharing, and from your perspective and your lengthy background in as Navy SEALs, I think you have a lot to offer. So thanks a lot. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my name is Louise, and I'm the Director of Administration for an international organization. It's called the Committee on Sustainability Assessment. My work actually encompasses a lot of the operational aspects of the organization, but we're a neutral, independent, nonprofit organization with a mission to understand sustainability in rural economies, but primarily in the global south, so Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And what we talk about a lot these days is sustainability intelligence. In other words, measuring what matters to get the right information that's needed to make decisions. So we look at primarily at the core commodities that are focused in these rural economies, like coffee, cocoa, tea, sugar, and so forth.
Coffee is sustainable right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Coffee to sustain the world. So
we need it.
Yeah.
Every day, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, though. We work with a lot of organizations. We're like in a sense, kind of a B2B, service as a nonprofit organization. We work with the people who have the power to make decisions affecting sustainability of these rural spaces. So that means governments, development organizations, but increasingly businesses, because businesses need to know that their supply chains are going to continue, right? They need to know that someone's going to be there to continue to grow their coffee or their cocoa or whatever. Right. So that's a little bit about what we do, and I'll tell you what the problem is in a second. First, I wanted to mention, though, that we're very fortunate in that our organization, which is, we've been around for about 15, but maybe formally incorporated as a nonprofit for about 8 years. From the beginning, we've been a virtual organization. Actually, we operate virtually. We really do exist. So our staff is located all around the world, Africa, Europe, and throughout the U.S. and Latin America. So there's a lot of the challenges that some people are facing now. We're fortunate in that we've been able to overcome a lot of them. And by the way, Joe, I really loved what you said about honoring your word. That's something that we talk about a lot in our organization, especially when you're at a distance from other people.
Yes.
So thanks for that.
Yeah, I got that from Thom. I rarely say anything that's original.
Well, it's a good concept. So,
Yep.
So my question is around, and I'm sure you've had similar situations in your experience. How do you continue to build your leadership when all around you're faced with pressing concerns? I mean, the world's all interconnected, but here in the U.S., some things have come to a halt. It affects everywhere. And it's kind of hard to, well, maybe not necessarily hard, but I wonder about what we share, what we message to the people who know what we do or who care about sustainability when, I mean, here in the U.S., people are losing their lives. And so they're not thinking about what's happening elsewhere. And I understand. And that's, I mean, we all do the same thing. We're all worried about our loved ones, right? So I guess the message is, how do you stay the course? Any guidance you have for staying the course to keep up with your message and, of course, your mission, but knowing that there are some, critical things going on and that you want to be sensitive to those.
Can I jump on that?
Yeah, please.
That's a great question. And I'm going to let you talk about staying the course because you have a unique perspective on that. I'm going to touch on the leadership part of that. And to preface what I'm going to tell you, I've worked 20 years for this year, 10 years in this specific business for this year. And we were 20% ahead of any of our best weeks, months, and years up until 3 weeks ago. And,
yeah, I understand.
I pulled into the office in my Suburban and chaos was ruling. And my phone was blowing up. People were panicking. Everything's going south, right? And a lot of people are in the same position. And I sat there for a minute with my phone just vibrating. It felt like it had a demon. And I sat there for a minute. And Luis, I felt sorry for myself. I did. For about 45 seconds, I was feeling sorry for myself. And then it dawned on me. And these words rolled up out of me. I said, could it be that I was made for such a time as this? And when we're talking about leadership, the people that think they are leaders on the good days, the sunny days, when things are going great, when the businesses are working with you, when the governments are working with you, when chaos isn't ruling, the people that think that they're leaders on those days are really just out for a hike. That's it. Leaders only show up on the rainy days. That's when leadership is tested. Thom, as a decorated war hero, what had to happen for the hero to show up? There had to be a war. There had to be a battle. Well, guess what? Man, I'm so thankful for this time because now I get to see if who I thought I was is who I am. And then it also shows me how to get to who I want to be. And so that's really, it can become your mantra with who you work with. And I was excited for you when you're talking about working with businesses and because that's probably unique and fun and everything. But then you said you work with governments and I was reminded of my wife early on. She was a special needs teacher, and obviously I'm not making light of that. It takes an incredible person to do that. But working with governments is probably a lot like being a special needs teacher, and so the leader in you has been formed already. And now it gets tested, and you get to see who you really are. What an opportunity this whole thing is. What an opportunity. And as far as sustainability, oh my gosh, this will wake people up.
I think so.
Yeah.
I couldn't have handed you $200 million and told you, hey, Louise, go take this money and create advertising campaigns that will bring awareness to you, your nonprofit, and your mission. And I couldn't have done any better than this crisis is doing. You couldn't have done any better than this crisis is doing for you.
Yep.
Wow, what an opportunity.
Yep.
And stay in the course.
That's very interesting insight. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and not to cap or to cap off what Joseph's just said, leaders lead. It's time to lead. And how you lead is literally by making things simpler. Mm-hmm. You have to make this simpler on people. Don't make it more chaotic. And don't wait. Don't wait for somebody else to take lead. Lead. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO or anybody else in the business. It's time. And make what you do simpler first, and then help the next person make what they do much more simple.
That's right.
That's really how people make this, and that's probably the definition of sustainable. Not complex things that are more complex. Nothing is sustainable that's complex. It's not. Everything has to be simple. You can take something complex and make it sustainable, but you have to make very simple things that are, duplicatable over time. Right. Mm-hmm. But those they have to be simple. If they're complex, you don't give me something complex. I'm going to break it down to the smallest element that I can adapt to. And
absolutely, we talk about that all the time. It is a complex topic. Everything's so interconnected, and you just it is complicated. So I like the idea of simplicity. Thanks.
Yeah, and you asked how do you sustain something over time, and that would be my definition. Keep things simpler, like constantly evaluate and make it simpler. Yep. Yeah, for instance, and I can make something complex simple. And I actually go look for complexity to see if I can simplify it. Not everything can be simplified. The things that cannot be simplified never sustain themselves. For instance, I'm not inherently a distance runner. I'm a little big, I have short legs and a tall upper body. Therefore, I'm not a distance runner. So I started running 100 miles when I retired, because the doctor said my running days are over because I'd broken some vertebrae in my back and some ribs, and they're like, hey, don't run anymore because you'll do damage to yourself. So my athletic future seemed very complex to me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do something extremely hard and see if I can make it simple. Most people hear what I'm saying is, why would you even run 100 miles, which is a whole different conversation. But you know what? I went and hired an ultramarathon coach. The first thing he said is, let's go run a mile. I'm like, why? I can already run a mile. He goes, I want to see you run a mile. And then he worked on another one thing the next time. So we ran a mile. He goes, I want you to work on pulling your shoulders down. I'm like, yeah, but what about running 100 miles? He goes, I'm teaching you to run 100 miles. So I do the next simple thing he teaches me to do. I do the next simple thing he teaches me to do. And then we run 50 miles together. By that time, it's 3 months later. In hindsight, if you were taking the 30,000 foot view, you would say that's really complex. On the ground, he made something very complex, very simple. And all I did was simple thing, the next simple thing, the next simple thing. Right. Then I asked him the question, how do you look at 100 miles? He goes, I cannot chew 100 miles up. And he was the number 4 in the world at the time. And he said, I can only run 1 mile at a time. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I don't look at 100 miles. I look at 1 mile. And then at the end of that 100 miles, he runs 1 mile, he runs the next 1 mile. Then he runs the next. He goes, I really, from the outside, you would look like I'm running 100 miles. I run one, reset, run another one, reset, run another one, reset. I'm like, that's brilliant. And he can sustain that. And he ran a 600-mile race this year by running 1 mile.
Wow.
And he can sustain that over time. And his speed is so fast that I can't understand how he does it. And I started imparting that same information to myself and my family. Don't look at how far you have to go. Look at the next 2 inches, the next foot, the next tree of your life. And everybody can do that. Everybody can see the next corner that they have to get to. But what makes it complex and not sustainable for everybody in every endeavor is they look at the complexity of the entire event. Like, I have another 80 years to live. Oh, that's overwhelming. No, dude, I just have 1 more day to live. What am I going to do today? It makes things much more, I like the term sustainable. In that environment, you will beat, not that everything's competition, you will beat everybody else because everybody else makes things too complex. Make it simple. Make it even simpler than that the next time you do it. And then make it even simpler than that the next time you do it. Then you wake up not aggravated by the day. And like the first gentleman asked, Joseph Flanagan, make it simple. It's not as difficult as everybody plays it out to be.
That's right.
Gosh, what am I going to be when I grow up? I don't know. I haven't grown up yet, Joe.
Nope.
Yeah. I'm going to figure out what I'm doing today. There's a million things to do every day. Do 1. And if you get to 10, you're a hero.
Yeah.
Most people never get to 10. They thought they got to 1,000. They never even got to 1. Do 1 thing and do it well. And then do the next thing the best you can.
Right.
And you can do that in isolation. You can reach out. People are communicating more now than they were when everything was great. And now everything seems to be authentic.
That's right.
Like, dude, I'm having trouble. Okay. Like the SEAL community requires everybody to be intimate. And then when you retire or you get out, guys were falling off the wagon, so to speak. Became too complex because they didn't have the intimacy. Now, during this crisis, everybody's locked down, it's hard to lock a SEAL down, even when they get out. They're reaching out to each other more now because of the crisis and allowing each other to help each other. And boy, that's a sustainable conversation too.
And that's how you stay the course.
Yeah.
That answers her question. And that,
yep.
I was going to tag what you were saying with one thing, because I know we're out of time. But you covered it. When you do those simple things, and all of a sudden the 100-mile race is over,
yep.
and you do the next simple thing, people are looking to you as a leader, right? You've led through chaos, and one of the things I was talking to somebody about yesterday was everybody that looks to you then, sometimes they get tied up in the quagmire of the tyranny of the urgent and all the stuff going on around. And so what Thom was saying was you help them boil that down to the simple. That's leadership. And what you're doing when you do that is your shoulders are already broad enough, you're helping carry their load. Mm-hmm. You're showing them how to do what they can do. And by doing that, you're shouldering some of the burden for them. And that's where that community comes in place. And that's where, community and intimacy was practically lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now it's coming back in droves, coming back in droves, and we need to double down on it, right?
Yeah.
So, man, that was good. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you.
Well, no, thank you. You've got great experience that's applicable to everything that we do. So thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you for coming on. We love and appreciate your communication and what you're doing.
You're welcome. Thank you for your service.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, thanks, Joe, for spending time with me today. And you're the one that made me do this. And then I thought you were going to cast me out and make me do it by myself, which isn't sustainable. And everybody that's participating with us, Joseph and I appreciate you, and we look forward to Monday when we get to do this newly. And stay the course. Make it simple. Do the things that matter to you at the elemental level. And dude, make your life not negotiable. And now's the time to practice it. So when this comes open in June, you will be a force to reckon with. And thanks for participating.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I really
Thanks,
appreciate it. Absolutely.
So love you guys. See you next time.
All right. Adios.